If you're not converting over 75% of your evaluations into packages, then today's podcast is for you. I'm going to be going over the biggest change that we help clinics inside of Patch make in order to sell more packages and turn their below 70% conversion into over 80% evaluation into package conversion rates. Plus, if you're running paid ads and you're having a hard time converting those leads into patients, or just think that all paid ads are bad leads, this simple change will get you to convert all of those leads into paying patients. This is a concept that I stole from Alex Hormozi's $100 million offers book, and I think it's one of the most overlooked aspects of selling cash-based packages. So in today's podcast, I'm going to be going over how to properly value stack your packages to make them so irresistible that people feel dumb saying no. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, definitely hit pause, head on over to the YouTube channel as I'm going to be sharing my screen and walking through exactly how you can be doing this. I've got a couple different examples of what these package sheets can look like, how you can really walk through all of these things. So I highly encourage you to head on over to our YouTube channel. We're going to be putting a lot more stuff up on YouTube just to make it a little bit easier visual way for you guys to learn. But if you're on the podcast side of things, totally fine. But definitely go back to the YouTube channel. So first thing I want to talk about is like, why does value stacking work? And why you need to be doing this. I think like at the surface of all of this is we need to, this sounds bad, right? But we need to justify why our packages are so much more expensive than the traditional insurance route, right? So like how do we justify somebody paying out of pocket multiple thousands of dollars to come in for physical therapy when in theory they could go across the street and they could, get physical therapy. They could see a physical therapist. I think it's a really important thing to think about. And how do we how do we put our package together and show all of the things that we do differently than the traditional insurance-based route? And how do we get that justification of like, here's why we sell these packages? And I'm going to go over later in this podcast about really how like you're already doing all of these things to justify the price point. We just need to market it better, which kind of leads into like the second rung of why value stacking works, and it's really all about the perceived value here. What we want to make sure we're doing when we're selling packages is showing all of the value that we're getting. I think oftentimes when I talk to clinic owners and they're having trouble actually selling packages is because they're not doing a good job of showing the value of what they're actually providing. They're really just talking about like, hey, yeah, you can come work with me. It's going to be a 60-minute session. It's going to be a one-on-one. You can't use your insurance, but they're not talking about the online programming that they're doing, or how they can do manual therapy and dry needling and work on your hip and your shoulder and your neck and then get you into the gym all in one session. There's no, we know that we can do all of that stuff, and I think we assume that patients also know that, but they don't, and it makes it really hard for them to see the value of paying out of pocket, which kind of leads us into the third rung of all the stuff of like, that we're creating this irresistible offer. The way we justify our price, the way we show value, if we do both of those things correctly, we create this irresistible offer, and patients like they really feel foolish if they don't move forward or they go and try to, run things through their insurance. And again, this is going to be all based off of a concept that I kind of took and changed into the cash-based physical therapy world. Is all from, Alex Hormozi's $100 million offers book. Really what we're trying to do here is, we're trying to sell something, right? But we're trying to take the dream outcome and the perceived likelihood of achievement, and we're trying to make that as high as possible, and we're trying to get the time delay and the effort and sacrifice as little as possible for people. And this is like quite hard with physical therapy, right? And rehab in general and exercise and fitness, because there's not just like a magic pill that we can create that we can give somebody and then they're good. There takes a lot of that effort and sacrifice, and it takes a lot of time and delay, which you can see is kind of at the bottom of the equation here. So we need to make the dream outcome and the perceived likelihood of achievement as awesome as possible. And I think that's where I really started to look at things, especially at Ripple, the clinic that I used to run. And we talked about it all the time of people coming in to see us. the outcome and the likelihood of achievement for people coming in to see us, we're like the bare minimum is we're going to fix your back pain. The dream outcome is that we're going to change your life. And we truly believed that. And all of my therapists were bought into that. And we're giving them this offer of, yes, you're going to get back to that 5K that you want to run, but what about a marathon? Like, what are the goals that you thought were impossible at one point, and how do we make those things happen? So the dream outcome even gets bigger for patients when they come in and see us. And again, I think like if we can really highlight like, hey, let's find out what your aspirational identity is. Let's show you how likely this is going to be. Understand that it's gonna take a little bit of time and a little bit of effort on your end, but because you're coming in, you're seeing us for the 60-minute sessions, the one-on-one care, it's gonna be a lot less than what you would get at a normal clinic. You know, really value stacking is all based around this dream outcome times perceived likelihood of achievement divided by time, delay, and effort and sacrifice, and you want that number to be as high as possible, and that's why we need to put together these packages that have tons of value based on them. And we really show that, you know, people are going to get to their dream outcome. The good part about value stacking in selling packages is if you're a cash based rehab center, then you are already value stacking. And I think like let's define value stacking, right? It's like, okay, you have your core service. Your core service is one-on-one 60-minute sessions or, you know, however long you're doing the sessions, one-on-one care, personalized approach, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So everybody kind of understands that. A lot of people might need a little bit of education on what exactly physical therapy is. Sure. But once they understand that, they get like what the core service is, and most people kind of get they have a general idea of what that service is. But what they don't understand is what they get with everything else that comes with that like 10 pack of sessions that they're buying, right? So, you know, and this is where you're already doing this. And a good exercise for you to do is just sit down and think about like, what are all the things that you're doing to go above and beyond for a patient that comes in and buys a 10 pack and write those things down, assign a dollar amount to those things. And again, like think about what somebody would get at a traditional clinic and then what they would get with you and how those things are different. So again, chances are there's probably 6, 7 things that you're already doing to make this exercise really, really easy and to show value when you're selling packages tomorrow. So again, you could talk about the personalized care, one-on-one approach that already exceeds the standard care expectations. You're getting extended sessions. So most people, they're coming in 15, 20-minute session, 30 minutes, they're waiting in a waiting room. You know, with us, you're getting that one-on-one care, the 60-minute sessions. You can really highlight that and show how much more valuable that is. We can obviously offer specialized techniques that somebody's not going to get at a traditional physical therapy clinic. So you can do things like dry needling, you can do gait analysis, you can do TPI screening, you can get somebody underneath a barbell and get them squatting or deadlifting or working on CrossFit movements. You can do all these specialized techniques and then another thing that I think just every clinic is doing now is the digital support side of things. This is a huge value add, and I think again we just like downplay it because as clinicians we want to give people the best experience as possible. Where you know instead of handing somebody a sheet of paper that says, "Hey, here's your 4 rotator cuff exercises," they're getting access to a platform like TrueCoach, and on TrueCoach everybody gets a login. There's exercises for them, they're getting email reminders and follow-ups. There's videos attached to it. You can chat with your PT one-on-one right in there. That is worth a lot of money, right? And not something that you're going to get if you're just paying a copay at a traditional insurance companies. You know, again, I think a lot of clinic owners will undersell this in all of these things that I just talked about. And it's just something that they give to people when they become a patient and they've already paid them money, where we need to reframe that with the value stacking of before we even ask them for money, we need to say, hey, here's all of the stuff that you get with us. Here's why this $2,000 package is $2,000 and why it's actually an awesome value and you should move forward with us. So, how do we educate our patients on all of the value stacking that we're doing? I think there's really two different ways that you can do this. The first is going to be through like a CRM email sequence, right? So, when somebody books a discovery call or somebody schedules an evaluation or fills out a form on your website or comes in for a workshop or whatever it might be, they should be going into a CRM. They should be enrolled in an automated email drip. And what that email drip should do is it should really like start to highlight all of the value that you're providing for people and educating them on if they come in and work with you and give you their hard-earned money, here's what you get with that. So again, what I like to do with these emails and how do I show the value is try to answer questions that people might have before they even come in, right? Again, like what is physical therapy? Let's send them an email out about like what they get with us, and educate them on what physical therapy is, especially what physical therapy is with us. What are all the things that you get with a package? Again, so we're talking about digital support. We're talking about dry needling with each session. If they're runners, we're talking about the gait analysis that we're going to be doing and really just like trying to answer those questions before they come in. One of the big things, right? An easy email to send is like, what is the difference between out of network and in network. And if you could just highlight those things, you don't need to shit on in network, but you can just show like, hey, if you do go to an ATI or a traditional chain clinic, this is what you'll get. If you come and see us, this is what you get. And then the price breakdown between those two things. So I think again, if you're having trouble converting leads into patients and you're not doing something like this and you don't have a CRM set up, this is why. Like this is a no brainer. I started this. We were like one and a quarter employees in when I invested in HubSpot and really took this nurturing sequence seriously. And it allowed for us to, run paid ads and fill up that second provider schedule and keep my first PT schedule full very, very easily. So this stuff is super important. If you want to grow and you're not doing this, it's going to be very, very hard. The second way that we can do this is with a strategic price sheet. Okay. So obviously, most clinics, they'll have a price sheet that shows them like, hey, here's our pricing. This is what the packages look like. Here's how many sessions you can do. So it's really just like, here's the number of sessions you can buy and here's the price of that. I think it's fine. It's good to have, but you should also have another like price sheet that breaks down like the value of everything that you do as well. Like, yes, you're coming in for 10 sessions, it's going to cost you $2,000, but you also get remote programming, which is worth this amount of money. You get dry needling, which is worth this amount of money. I'll kind of get into this in a bit, but like if you're working with your local partners and you have some sort of deal that those local partners can come in for, you can also highlight things like that too. And again, you start to stack on all of that value. It makes things really easy for people moving forward. Again, like a sample value stack package is going to look something like, all right, your core offer, it's 10 PT sessions is $2,000. Okay, cool. Everybody gets that. Everyone understands that, especially after they come in for an evaluation. They know like what they're paying for. But then we can stack on top of that, right? Of like, okay, with the 10 PT sessions at $2,000, you're going to get digital support, which is a $300 a month value. With that digital support, you're going to get online coaching, you're going to get your HEPs, you're going to get personalized exercise programming. If you're a runner, we're going to give you some like running warm-ups. If you're a golfer, we're going to give you golfing warm-ups. This is all things that you're already doing, going above and beyond, but people don't realize that this costs you a lot of time, a lot of energy, and you should assign a dollar amount to that to show them like, yes, okay, you're paying 2000 digital support is actually worth three, six, $900 over a 3 month program with us that you're going to continue to get. So you're paying $2,000, but you're already getting $900 worth of value. All right, awesome. So really, the package is only worth $1,100 at that point. Hopefully that makes sense. Another thing that we did, at Ripple, and I always encourage our clinics inside of Patch to do is like you're probably out there, you're probably doing all these workshops, you're probably meeting all these other local business owners that align with your business. So other gyms, maybe like health and wellness businesses. And what we did is we established a relationship with those people, and then anybody that purchased a package with us would get like discounts, benefits, freebies at some of our local partner like referral sources that were in the area. So, for example, if somebody bought a package with us, they would get a free cryo session. Across the street, they would get a free DEXA scan. Like they're doing like metabolic testing as well. All of these things added up. This is a $350 value that they can go and they can take advantage of that. We also had a ton of like free week of classes at Orange Theory that was across the street. There's a gym across the street that were able to get them a free like workout, a WOD class, one time WOD class for them to go over and try that. That was another $350 value. So we're talking for the digital support, we're at $900 for the 3 months. All of these free recovery sessions, that's going to be, $700. So we're almost at like, $1,600 worth of free stuff that they're getting for us. And this is all stuff that people are probably doing. So again, package, but we're getting $1,600 worth of value. So really they're only paying $400 for those 10 PT sessions. That is way less than what they're going to be paying for a copay on each session at the traditional insurance clinic. This is how we value stack our service and make it so easy for people to move forward, and people would feel dumb moving forward with that, right? Of like, if you said like, yeah, sure, out of pocket is $2,000, but you get $1,800 worth of stuff with us. So the price really is only $600. That makes it really easy for people to move forward, and you've just showed all of the value that you're giving people as well. So a big part of this, right, is like building the strategic partners that you're going to be having, because that's where I think a lot of the value comes into play. Sure, you can talk about the true coach programming that you're going to get, the dry needling that you're going to get, the gait analysis, all that stuff, 100%. But I think kind of the breakthrough here and where you separate yourself is giving freebies to some of the local services that are in the area. So what you need to do, like kind of step one with that, right, is you need to identify like who are the complementary businesses that are going to make sense here, right? Like, you know, Dunkin' Donuts across the street may not make a ton of sense. Actually, it probably would make a lot of sense because everybody walks in with coffee. But you have to think about, the way I thought about this, right? It's like we were sending people to cryotherapy anyways. So why not establish a relationship with them? We want all of our people to go over and get cryo to feel better faster. And that's just going to make us look better if we're sending them to a really awesome service. I want to make a partnership with them. The DEXA scan side of things, if we're truly about like changing people's lives and doing more than just fixing their knee pain, then we want to get them to understand like where's their body fat levels at right now. We get all the information from that DEXA scan so then we can retest it in 3 months and see like, hey, like, all right, like you've put on this much muscle. This is what things are looking like. Same thing with, we had a really good relationship with the Orange Theory across the street. We had a studio manager over there who we really gelled with nicely and trusted them that like we could send some of our patients that liked just doing the boot camp classes over to this Orange Theory, and they could say, hey, we're working with Ripple. I have this knee thing. Will you help me modify? So people would feel comfortable going over and doing that. Same thing with the gym across the street with the more traditional strength training classes. We had a really good relationships with the personal trainers over there, and we would send people to those classes all day long. And we started to build that reciprocal relationship where we were sending them business. And even though like people were going over there for the first time for free, we knew that their product was so awesome that people were going to continue to stick around and they were going to continue working with them. So in the end of the day, they were increasing their lifetime value and the number of people that were going to see them. So that like really worked well for everybody involved. The key with like building these relationships is you need to provide value first. I think this is where a big miss often comes into play is where somebody will you just walk into a gym and just be like, hey, can like I run a PT clinic across the street, can all of our patients get a free week of classes with you? Like that is not going to work, obviously, right? You need to go, you need to take the classes, you need to treat the studio manager over there for free, not just one time but for months and on an ongoing basis, and see some of their patients or see some of their members for free as well, and just provide a ton of value. When I was first running Ripple, I did did so much stuff for free. It was actually insane. I think it makes most clinic owners cringe a little bit, but this is how I was able to establish these relationships was doing a ton of stuff for free right off the bat. So if you provide all of that value, now you can start to like negotiate like what is this mutual or what is this relationship going to look like with us and like present it to them of for the cryo clinic, right? Like that was a $125 thing where they were getting for free across the street. But the way that I chatted with the owner over there was, hey, like, we're gonna send people over, and we sell anywhere from 5 to 6 packages a week. That's gonna be 5 to 6 new leads for you to come in. Sure, you have to do like a spot 15-minute cryo or let them get in the tank. You're gonna have to do that for free, but we're going to continue pushing people to go there on an ongoing basis, and you can sell them into a package, and because they trust us and we trust you, it's going to be really easy to get them to come in for multiple cryo therapy sessions. And that was actually the case. Like that is how it worked. So I think that's how you need to think about how this partnership would work and how you should negotiate these mutual benefits. And the one thing to think about there, and what I really pushed for people that we were partnering with, was it's going to be really hard to get people to go and do an ancillary service if it's not for free. If it's just like $10 off or 10% off or something like that, they're not going to get the lead flow, and they're not going to this partnership is going to be fruitful for them. But if you have like a low barrier offer, and we could send people over for that. That's what people are going to take advantage of, and that's what we did in return too. Anybody that went over there and got a cryo session, we gave them a free evaluation. It was not 25% off. It was not a $50 evaluation. It was a free evaluation, because that is as hot of a lead as possible, and I will take the cost of paying my PT for the cost per acquisition on that lead, because I know the odds of that person moving forward into a package is going to be really, really, really high. And then, once you figure out all of these relationships, you create this, partner package offering. You show it in your value stack. You talk about it in on the emails that you're sending out, and you make it really easy again for people to understand. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can kind of see this like package sheet that I spun up really quickly. And it's a good example of what we used at Ripple. Basically, what we're doing here, right, is like we're handing them the sheet of, here's what the 10 pack and the prices of all that stuff is, but they're also getting this like what you get sheet as well. So you can see here, we used to submit like the out of network benefit claims for people. So we did all of like their billing for them. And we priced that at $300 a month. That's free if you come in and you're in a package with us. We're going to send you personalized daily workouts in physical therapy, HEPs. $250 a month. That's free if you're in a package with us. You can go in, you can get a DEXA scan. That's $199. That's free if you purchase a package with us. You get a month membership at the gym across the street. That's $205 a month. That's also free. You get a week of Orange Theory classes at the Back Bay location. That's normally $99. That's free. So if we tally all this stuff up, right, we got three, we got $150, we got $750, we got over $1,000, $1,200. So again, when someone's paying $2,000 for a package, they're getting $1,200 to $1,500 worth of free stuff. That makes that $2,000 package a lot easier for people to swallow, because everybody that's coming in, they're going to use all of this stuff. This is all super useful stuff for people. So the most important thing, right, is like, what does this do for your business, and why should you value stack your packages? The number one thing is that it's going to get you to convert packages at a higher rate. We're seeing people that are doing this super effectively. They're converting over 75% of their evaluations into packages. Most of those people are running a ton of paid advertising as well. So these are leads that don't know who they are. They're very cold. They don't know what physical therapy is. But if you do a good job of value stacking, then getting people to pay you money to come in for sessions makes it really, really easy. This also simplifies the sales process. It makes it really, really easy for packages to be sold, because it's kind of a no-brainer deal, right? If you're showing the value of all of the stuff that people are getting with you, which is then in turn going to increase your staff's confidence. And then, like I said, it's going to increase your marketing ROI as well, right? This is just simple math here, but if you're spending $1,000 a month on paid advertising, and you go from converting 60% of your leads into packages to 75% without spending an extra dollar, you're invoicing that much more money, and your ROI goes up that much more as well. So I think it's a really important to think about. If you truly want to scale your clinic, you need a good marketing ROI. This is how you do it right here. It's not about how good your ads are. There's only so much you can do on the advertising side of things, but what you can do is get creative with your offer and get really good on the sales side of things. So let's talk about it. Like, what can you do today? How do you get started with this? First thing you need to do is you need to audit your current offerings. So you need to identify all of the value you're already providing, but you're not really highlighting. You need to reach out to potential partners. Start building that trust now if you haven't yet. If you have partners you already have really good relationships with and you have that trust, start to figure out like, okay, how can we partner together? What's going to be a great offer that you think that your patients are going to take people up on? You could then try to negotiate with them to try to get them to offer. Because again, this is a really important thing to remember. If your partner is offering something that your patients aren't going to really take advantage of, and no one is really going over there and using that, that could sour the relationship, and it could just show that like, oh, like XYZ's clinic, their patients really aren't coming over to see us. So you need to, like, in order for this to be successful, you need to have like a tangible amount of people going over and taking advantage of this every single month, or else it's not going to work. It's going to make it really hard on that partnership. Then when you have all that stuff established, you need to create your value stack sheet. There's got to be a design there, map it all out, make it really easy for people to understand. And then, the last thing is just training your team on all this. Make their sales process really, really easy. Just you give them a little bit more confidence and take the pressure of selling packages off of their plate, by, mapping out all of the value that people are actually getting. Because again, at the end of the day, you guys are already doing all of this stuff. So go and find all of the extra things that you're doing, put a dollar amount to that stuff and market that stuff and show people that you're doing much more than what the traditional insurance clinic is. This is exactly what we do with Patch, is like our messaging and everything that we do, from the paid ads we run to the blogs we write for SEO to the email marketing campaigns that we put together. It's all about the messaging and telling people and educating people on, hey, your thought process of what physical therapy is, it's not the same thing as what you think it is. We are much, much different than that traditional clinic. Here's all the other things that we're doing. That's exactly what value stacking is. And if you do this, this is a really easy way to add $10,000, $20,000 a month in extra revenue by just increasing the amount of leads that you're converting into patients. So hopefully, again, if you guys didn't catch this on YouTube, definitely go over, subscribe to our channel, subscribe to the podcast as well if you're there, and I will talk to you guys soon.